Apparently, I was the default host this time for some reason.
Yeah. It seems like it's working though. That was weird. I am the host. I don't know.
Why that happened?
I would need my own permission, but here we are. Anywho, hey everyone, welcome back to these PyHC biweekly telecons. First time seeing y'all in 26. I'm pretty sure most of the people on the call didn't get to go to AGU, so also hello since Dash. I don't have any big overall updates. AGU went, as well as can be expected for the odd year that it is. Um, and yeah, Sean, do you have any big things to chat about?
Yeah, I do actually.
Let's
I
go.
can announce the acceptance and now publication of FEP 3, and I was going to share my screen for one quick second to show that off. So let's make sure I pick the right desktop here. Cool. So on PyHC's website now, we have this FEPS page. It's underneath documents. And we've just had the first one and the template for quite a while, but now, woohoo, we have our first standards track, FEP. And if you click here, it links to the full text of the thing. I imagine most people on this call have heard about this and know what it is at this point, but it's essentially PyHC adopting Spec 0 from Scientific Python. So for Python versions and for these specific upstream packages listed here, we will be following the same support window that is recommended by them. And they have this lovely Gantt chart, which shows what is and is not and is about to be in support. I have announced this in a blog post that is right here on the homepage, which gives you the main information and links to check out the other stuff. And there is a sub page that has been made for it. It links here. It's just a to-do right now, but I'm going to fill this out starting next week, and it's going to have essentially this same Gantt chart from over here, but on this page, so that we can keep up with the schedule better. And as per the what we wrote actually inside the FEP itself, I'm going to set up automated email reminders that will just email our mailing list quarterly to let people know what versions are going in and out of scope. So I'm excited about that. And the last thing was that this replaced the standards number 11 in our standards document, which used to just mandate Python 3 support. So now if you go into here, and if you look at the PyHC standards, once this page loads, we now have a new DOI that links to a new document. And inside the new document, is it going to let me click that? No, it won't. So I'll just go over here and click it in the GitHub repo. Now, number 11, instead of saying you must support Python 3, the old thing it used to say, it now says you have to support Python, or not have to, should is technically the language that we wrote here. But support Python versions released within the last 36 months, upstream core scientific Python packages within the last 24, and we should strive to support new versions released within 6 months of their release, and the link to the FEP. So there we are. I feel happy about that. And that was my big announcement. So thank you.
Oh wow. My that's fun.
Mhm.
Well, congrats and good job. I know that was a big outcome from the last annual meeting that we had.
Yep. It is going to be a big step towards making our packages more interoperable and easy to install together. And it already is, I would say.
Mhm.
Just ma in maintaining the PyHC environment, I have made a version that is like fully Spec 0 compliant. And there's only two packages of our 90 something that need a little bitty version bump to be fully compliant. And we haven't had version conflicts in a while. So this is good stuff.
That's really good to hear. Cool. All right. Well, we can go ahead and dive into the meat of today's telecon. Veronica's here. As part of going to Dash, we discussed that she'd, give some kind of report out after the fact about big Dash takeaways, hopefully start some discussion, that kind of thing with the group. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the mic over to you, Veronica.
Thanks, Julie. I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right, let's see. Are you able to see my browser?
We are.
Okay. All right. Is my presentation showing okay?
Yep.
Great. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Veronica Martinez, and I work with Julie Barnum at the University of Colorado Boulder at LASP. And in October, we both attended the Dash Idea workshops in Texas. And so today I'm going to share out a recap of that conference. For those of you who aren't familiar with Dash or Idea, it's a co-located workshop that provides an opportunity for sharing ideas, developing standards, and fostering collaboration within the heliophysics community. And so my goal today is to share out some of the development updates and tools that were discussed at the conference that hopefully will be of interest to your group. All right, so heading into the conference, I wasn't sure quite what to expect due to the funding challenges in 2025. And so I wasn't sure if there would be a good turnout, but I was really pleased to see that there were a lot of familiar faces from the previous year when I attended. There were a lot of new faces as well, including some individuals that had their travel funded by PyHC, which was really great to see. I'm one of those individuals. So I really appreciated the opportunity to be able to attend. And this year's conference took place in San Antonio, Texas, and was hosted by the Southwest Research Institute. The conference location and host changes from year to year. Typically alternates between a location in the United States and somewhere abroad. So in 2024 was Madrid. This year, or in 2025, it was Texas. And the location for next year was announced, which I will share shortly. Or I guess it's this year. I'm still getting used to 2026. Okay, so this was a full week conference. Did I see a hand raise? Sean, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask where you got the group photo from.
I got that from, I believe it was the Dash website.
Oh, I
I
haven't
put
checked the
this,
website since the conference. I'll have to go
yeah,
do that.
I put this presentation together in November and then I got sick and wasn't able to present it, but I think I got it from their website. They did upload, I don't know, about 20 pictures throughout the event from talks and like the after conference activities. So yeah, worth checking out.
Oh, that's fun. Thank you.
So this was a week-long conference, and the first 3 days were dedicated to the Dash workshop. Dash stands for Data Analysis in Software and Heliophysics. The main themes this year were on collaboration and open source development, machine learning and AI and data workflows, next generation mission data pipelines, cross-domain heliophysics applications, and advancements in analysis tools. So there were many excellent talks on these subjects throughout those days. It was packed with great information. In addition to the oral presentations, there was a dedicated poster session as well, which I thought was very successful. It took place one afternoon for a couple hours. There were over 20 posters, and I presented a poster with a colleague, and we spent most of that time chatting with people. So it was very engaging, great opportunity to walk around, see what people are working on, what successes they've had, learn about anything that didn't work for them, and finding points of collaboration. So I was really pleased with the addition of a dedicated poster session this year and hope that they continue to do that. And then, as I mentioned, this year, this conference will be taking place abroad, and that location will be Dublin, Ireland. And so the host for that will be Dublin Institute for Advanced Studies. There's not a ton of information available at the moment on this, but I expect there to be more information coming in the next few months. So if anyone here is interested in attending this year, definitely keep an eye out for registration details sometime in the spring to early summer. And since IDEA is co-located with DASH, that means IDEA will also be taking place in Dublin. So the week closed out with a 2-day workshop for IDEA, the International Heliophysics Data Environment Alliance. And this event focused on report outs to the communities. So working groups within IDEA provided presentations on efforts they've been working on for the past year. Institutions provided updates as well. So that includes ESA, JAXA, NASA, and several other groups as well. And then there were discussions on metadata and standards. So this is a good platform for fine-tuning metadata and standards, hearing from the community on what works, what hasn't been working, but also hearing about what's coming down the pipe and having detailed discussions around that. So this has been a big focus for IDEA. This year, there was also a decadal survey activity. So this was a hands-on group activity to answer the question, what international data environment is needed to advance our research infrastructure? And the focus was on improving things like fostering research with combined ground and space data, fostering the Heliosystems Laboratory, and fostering archive research. And to do this, there was a brainstorming session with the larger group that took place over a digital whiteboard where everyone was invited to throw out some ideas on solutions. And then we all voted on our top 3 or 5. So you can see here, and this is just a small sample of some of those ideas, but the popular ones were, funding software maintenance, coming up with a way to make publishing open source software less bureaucratic for large space agencies. There was also one on looking at what Earth Data Systems is doing, and one on collaborating across different fields of space archives and sharing common problems, not just associated with helio data. So many great ideas were tossed out there. And then we broke out into smaller groups to explore a few of those in more detail. So I thought that was a fun activity. It was a good way to get to talk to individuals within the community about common challenges and thinking through how we can work through them. So that was just like the big overview of the event. There were many excellent talks, too many to be able to summarize here today, but there were some that I thought would be worth highlighting to your group. For instance, there was a talk on developing technical communities of practice, which is very relevant, PyHC. So Miranda with the US Research Software Engineer Association talked about the lessons learned from managing a community of practice, the benefits of participating, how to foster belonging to make it successful. I thought that was a really interesting talk. There was also a presentation on ESA's effort to unify heliophysics archives. So traditionally, there's a dedicated archive per mission at ESA, but they're moving towards consolidating them to improve discovery and access of the data. And so they've started working on unifying the legacy data archives, but have also expanded towards new missions. And the goal is to have a one-stop shop to access the data that uses common metadata. So this is not a trivial effort, and it's great to see the progress that they're making on that. There was also a presentation on expanding the heliophysics events knowledge base, another one on developing a generic SOC at Southwest Research Institute, and then a presentation on the development of a suite of packages, Python packages, to support the punch mission. So Chris Lauder with Southwest Research Institute went into detail about the development of several tools and how they've been implemented to support that mission. And that's an open source suite of tools as well. So there are maybe some techniques that could be borrowed from that for other projects. There was also a dedicated session on large language models and machine learning developments. So PySuitas had a presentation sharing lessons learned from experimenting with large language models to develop chatbots, migration from IDL to Python, documentation assistance. So this was really nice to see as more groups explore experimenting with these technologies, because there's a lot of lessons learned that can be shared out to help ease that transition. There was a talk on the heliophysics digital resource library using AI to link scientific papers to data sets. And it was interesting to hear their hybrid approach, because they still have a human in the loop component where somebody is involved in helping to verify the accuracy of those linkages. So that was an interesting presentation and how that's been working out for them. There were also a couple talks on machine learning ready data sets. So one Surya Bench for curated solar data sets spanning a solar cycle, and then another one on FITS data and a browser-based data exploration of those data files. So there were many talks at the conference and a lot of different packages thrown out there. Many really great developments is going on in the community, but it was hard to capture everything. I did my best to try to highlight the ones that I could recall and that might be most relevant to PyHC, but there may be some that I missed, and hopefully if anybody else here attended, if you remember any other ones that'd be worth mentioning, please share that at the end of this presentation. I'd love to be able to include those. But these ones here are packages that aren't currently registered with PyHC that were mentioned at the conference. So Punchbowl, which I briefly mentioned in the previous slide, is dedicated to supporting the Punch mission, so focused on science data processing and monitoring data pipelines. There was also another suite of Python packages to support sticks, and these tools help extend SunPy. There's a tool in there to help with a telemetry to FITS processing pipeline to support solar spectral analysis. So a really helpful combination of things that can support these instruments. And I don't remember if that one's open source or not. Punchbowl is though. And then there was also a tool called SWIG for open source empirical solar wind generator. FITSFlow I briefly mentioned already. And then SolarNet, which is a package for templating SolarNet metadata keywords and validating FITS files. So since these aren't currently in PyHC, these might be good ones to consider to include to bring more awareness to the community. There were also some Python packages that are already within PyHC, so these may be familiar to you all. SunPy, Komodo, PyGS, KaiPy, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Happy, and HelioCloud. So it's nice to see how these are being applied, but also hear development updates to see, it's nice to see that there's continued support for these tools that are being expanded for broader use. So this was my second time attending DASH, and I started attending in 2024 because I just started working on a couple heliophysics missions. I was new to the field, so there was a lot to learn, and this seemed like a great platform to meet others in the community, learn about what tools are being used, and just kind of stay up to date on developments and research. And I have found it very valuable. So I highly recommend attending if you're able to in the future. For me, I've learned a lot from it. A lot of it goes over my head too. So, but I feel like the second time that I attended, more of it made sense to me since I'm new to the field. And so I think it's a very valuable workshop to be able to attend. This year, my main takeaways are shown here. I notice a convergence on Python, open standards, and modular interoperable systems. That seemed to be a big theme. Happy and SunPy ecosystems continue to be central pillars in this effort. And PyHC can continue to coordinate, integrate, and document these developments. There's also a growing emphasis on metadata standards, open pipelines, and fair and citable workflows. These are all areas where PyHC can lead or align efforts. And then AI and machine learning tools are continuing to enter practical use. And I've seen, at least at this conference, that could still be a benefit for human in the loop design to ensure accuracy. So seeing more presentations on these technologies is really helpful to the community to ease the knowledge gap that there may be with experimenting with these tools. So there was a dedicated session on this in 2024 and again in 2025, and I think that's probably very helpful to a lot of groups. And then finally, sustaining a community-led open source infrastructure remains both a challenge and a shared opportunity. Some of the presentations at the 2025 event talked about some really cool developments that are closed source. So, and that was due to challenges within their institution to be able to open it up. And then there were presentations on developments that were completely open source. So it's, I think, a trend to move towards open source. And this conference is a good way to bring awareness to these developments. But it's also interesting to see that there are still barriers in place to making that happen. But hopefully, as more conversations on how these open source developments support others in the community and how they benefit research, that those barriers will become less common. So those were my main takeaways from the event. The presentations can be accessed through Zenodo. They're archived there. They're just the links to the PowerPoint presentations or the posters. No recorded sessions this time. There was in 2024, and there was interest expressed at the conference to do that again. So hopefully this year there will be recorded presentations. But for 2025, you can find the content through to Zenodo. And I have the QR links here if you're interested in taking a look. Hopefully the video recordings will be available next year, because it is nice to go back and review some of the topics. There's a lot of information to digest, and it's also nice to be able to share some of this with colleagues. In 2024, I shared some videos with some of my colleagues that I thought they would be interested in taking a look at. But we'll see what happens this year. For now, feel free to take a look at these presentations. And if there's still time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, but also open up the floor to discussion for any others who did attend Dash or IDEA or both, and would like to share their takeaways.
I second Nick's comment. Thank you, Veronica, for giving that overview for us. Does anyone have any comments or thoughts of their own from the meeting? Especially, if you led a session or gave a talk or something, how you feel it went. We have plenty of time to chat now.
Well, I know I'm
Thank
excited
the
for the next
speaker.
one.
I just want to thank the speaker because as someone on the organizing committee, I never know how it looks to someone that is, coming in from it without knowing all the behind the scenes stuff. So it was really nice hearing what you saw was important and highlights. And that's also going to be really useful feedback for the next dash. So thank you so much for pulling this together.
Mhm.
Exactly. Sandy said the smart thing.
Sandy was right. Sean, I think you were gonna give some feedback.
Yeah, I was saying I'm excited for the next one in Ireland. That's going to be awesome. Um, and I was happy to see the little AI ML session that I was leading there called out here. That was a lot of fun for me to put together. And I think we mentioned during like the feedback session at the end of Dash that we might be changing that a little bit the next time. I'll be inviting a few more speakers and things like that to try to get a few more presentations in there, so that we can maybe split it out into more of like a dedicated LLM session and then a dedicated like more traditional machine learning method, since the way we combined them was maybe a little haphazard this year, but it was recommended to do it just because there was like I think 5 abstracts in total. So maybe get more of that next year and split it apart more, and it'll be good.
Or even something like uh, almost like a tutorial session or like if anybody's using these AI tools for dedicated development or not even just dedicated, just like incidental, like, okay, because that is kind of the way of the future, right? Like to use it for productivity gains. And so if there's anything we can do to help people in the community latch onto that, there's
Yeah.
institutional boundaries or barriers. Not ev like APL just doesn't let you just put all your stuff into these public um, LLMs. You have to go through sanctioned approaches. But finding ways to help our community um, make that transition, I think, could be interesting.
hmm And hindsight 2020, if I had known how the session was going to go, I would have even put together my own little, even could have been a quick 15-minute talk on like how to just use off the shelf like agent things to like make a chat bot for your software or whatever, because it can be done in almost like 1 or 2 steps at this point. And
Yeah, or a
I
birds of a feather session on that, or a separate thing.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely planning on putting together some kind of little thing like that next year. I mean, of course, some new awesomer tool could come out by that time, and maybe I'll talk about it instead. But that's the kind
Yeah.
of thing I'm planning on doing.
I have a question. So we have this momentum from Dash, and we're also looking at hopefully a PyHC summer school this year. How can we build on that?
Well, not to. Sorry, you said maybe a PyHC summer school, and that caught me off
Hopefully,
guard.
because I'm not Julie, right? Right, this is 26. We have usually have PyHC summer schools in the even years, right?
We're already planning on it.
But yes,
Okay, good.
we are. There's, of course, funding dependent. I'm not sure how many details I can say on a recorded call, but
You can stop the recording,
Oh, okay, fair.
or you can
well,
not say it. It's fine.
oh gosh, it's because it thinks I'm not the host. That's hard to do. It's like it's in the works. It's just a matter of when could it arrive? Because this is weird times we're all in.
Gotcha.
Sure. But assuming funding works its way out, right? How can we build on what was positively commented on about Dash and Idea? How can we build on that for PyHC Summer School, in addition to the feedback from before?
Well, there's
Yeah,
different targets, right, for the summer school versus Dash. Summer school is more about the users of the software and the scientists and the early career people who have time to learn these tools. And Dash and Idea, that's for the tools people and the um, partly the support structure for those tools people with the agencies and stuff. So, um, are you trying to create more of a purposeful cohesion between the two?
Well, to an
What do you
extent,
want to
that's
happen?
useful. So, what I imagine is that, the things that are not proposed, the things that are presented on at Dash, the things that are that wound up in the conversation at Idea and even Dash to some extent. Those are the topics that, if it's relevant to do something in a PyHC summer school, that might be one of those hot topics that we just rotate through from year to year with the summer school. I don't know if I'm coming out clearly right now. It was clearer in my head. But we could build on whatever momentum that we saw in the software community at Dash and see where it's useful to pull that into the summer school.
Yeah, I mean, I like the list. Hey, here's the new software packages that are not in PyHC. That's a place to mine things for future interest in the summer school. One thing we're doing at the GEM meeting this year is we're trying to get an entire day uh, session on the tools, where the tools, that's the day tools people should go to the gym. Is this like a Tuesday or something? And we'll present tutorials. It'll be a combination of structured and unstructured stuff for the scientists to interact with the tools and the data providers and stuff to say, hey, here's what's available, here's what's new, here's what you should try to keep up on tools wise for your field. And that's a good way to kind of mix these worlds where you get the tool people and the science people together. So the GEM committee, I mean, funding has been so tough. They've been trying to figure that out first. So, but it's still on the table, and I think they still want it to happen. I just don't know for sure if it's going to happen. But GEM, CEDAR, Shine, those are the NSF meetings. We could do a more targeted thing at the AGU. Hey, here's a poster session that's really just a poster slash tutorial session for all the tools, and scientists can show up and sit down and learn how to do something new. It's very hard to get scientists to go to tools poster sessions, though, at the AGU. There's just so many things going on. But
kind of almost have to mix them into the science sessions, kind of like we sneak PyHC in because we're involved.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, from the perspective of the summer school, though, it's more of the how-to, but extended. But it's so I guess two thoughts are living in my head that won't let each other talk. So Sean, this gym thing, this gym idea, words. Sorry, beginning of the week. This gym session that John just mentioned, that might be a reasonable place for you to have some of that AI talk, but I wonder if that's going to be a really good session to have at the summer school. And then maybe some how-to stuff about with our own software community. How do we pull in this new conversation about metadata standards? It seems to be more of a topic now. Are there simple ways we can tweak this and tweak that? I,
Yeah. Just because I was called out there, I can mention I could even specifically in just like 5 to 10 minutes show everyone, just an overview of what AI tools there are out there. There's basically three of them where you could just drop them in any repo, and then they can explain to you how they work and build with them or modify them. And it's like, if you've never even used a tool like that before, I could just, hey, while you're developing these things, drop in a tool like this. Or if people are interested, it could be more of a thing. But I could imagine slotting myself into such a gem session or a PyHC session like that. I like the idea.
I also wonder, well, I mean, we had it included with Dash, so maybe it would still be relevant then for the summer school. We did have the proposal funding how to kind of day before Dash actually began. I know there are only a few of us here on this call that actually could go to it, but that kind of information could also be useful to the same kind of crowd that goes to summer schools.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine lots of early career people haven't actually gotten to write their own proposal before yet.
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah,
worth seeing it.
yeah. And I mean, it was at Dash to prove a point. It's not just scientists that need to write proposals. Those of us creating software need to do so too. So it would be useful, I think. That's one of the more obvious crossovers I see anyway.
So for the yearly PyHC meeting that's in person, that scope is for software developers. And then the summer school is directed more towards the early career people trying to learn PyHC software, right?
Basically, yeah, that's the majority of our participants.
Okay. Would it still be worth their time for us to do a proposal workshop for the summer school? It seems obvious to me that it's relevant to the PyHC meeting that's yearly. Um, but is it also useful at the summer school?
It could be. The only thing with the annual PyHC meeting, well, I guess I can't really speak for everyone, but a lot of it is at least mid-career folks and up
Okay.
tend to go to it. Most of which have written proposals or have been involved in the process in some way already. Someone contradict me though if you think I'm not right about that.
Veronica, you might be the only one that could object to that. The rest of us are the typical people.
I guess I'm not really mid-career, but I've also written proposals, so I'm still excluded from the crowd.
Maybe it's an idea to float over email to get more people's opinion.
Yeah, maybe. Cool. Well, were there any other thoughts or feedback or things you really enjoyed about Dash and want to see again, or didn't enjoy and definitely don't want to see again? Curious to hear from the crowd. I know a few of us here couldn't go.
So this is nitpicky, but I did have one issue, and since we have a couple of the orgs on here, I will go ahead and mention it. The way that the registration fee was done this year, I would like to see changed because there was a thing where they linked the registration fee with the lunch fee. So you like it seemed like on the website you had to pay a certain number of dollars to get allowed in there. I guess it was optional, but when I was going through the website, it didn't look optional to me. So I paid like lots of money for lunch food I never ended up really eating, and then I wasn't able to get reimbursed for it, and then I went over my per diem and had to write a check to last. So if we could just not include lunch food with the registration, that would be great.
Did you go to Dash in 23?
Yes, I did all of them.
Okay, so do you remember having the same problem with the lunch fee
Nope.
then?
Definitely did not
Okay.
have the same problem.
It was a
John,
similar setup. The problem is that if you get any funding at all from NASA to help run the meeting, then you can't charge a registration fee, which means there is no money. And also, the NASA money that comes can't be spent on food. So you end up with this catch 22 where you can't charge a registration fee to cover the food, and you can't use the NASA money to buy the food, so there's no food.
Wow, that's dumb. I'm sorry to hear that.
I wonder
It's
if it's more obviously separated, though. It would be clearer on the form. Like, we
There's
can't
got to
do
be
anything
ways
about
to
the
get
funding
around
thing.
this. We just haven't found it yet. The good news is ESA and the Europeans and Ireland, they will not have such a restriction, so part of the registration fee can be used for just regular, at least coffee and snacks or whatever. So yeah, it's a weird logistics thing that we haven't figured out how to get around because most institutions are not going to say, "Oh yeah, here's, a couple $1,000, go spend it on coffee and donuts for your random meeting."
Makes sense
So,
now that you say it.
what?
It said it makes sense now that you say it.
Yeah, yeah. So then we say, "Oh, well, if you want to eat there, you have to pay for this." And um yeah.
Wonder,
No, but we'll try to make it clear on the registration site so that people know exactly what they're getting. Like you could have just said, "No, I don't want it. I don't want that."
Yeah.
yeah,
And I probably could have just read closer and recognized that myself. I just didn't this year for some reason.
Well, it's a weird setup, so it kind of catches people off guard. And if the site has any kind of quirks, then it ends up not meeting people's expectations. So it's great feedback. Thanks. Yeah.
did we ever put anywhere on the website that the registration was free? I'm not sure that we emphasized that at all, which would have alleviated some of that confusion.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Julie. I think if there was a mention that registration is free and then food is optional and here's the cost for the food, that could have helped a lot. Because I was also confused about it as well when I was getting set up to attend. I wasn't sure if that was considered registration and if I could get reimbursed or not. So yeah, definitely clarification that could be made next time. I do have another positive feedback to provide about Dash. I liked the lightning round for the poster session. So everybody gave a 1-minute
Yeah.
introduction to their
That was
poster.
fun.
That was really helpful to get a heads up about what would be available at the poster session to kind of get an idea of where to start. And so I don't think I've seen that at other workshops that I've been to, but I really liked that.
Related, I'll add that I liked the wine that they served during the poster session. That was not a thing that I've had at many other poster sessions before, and that was a good time.
I think with smaller meetings that can work. Big meetings like AGU would get a bit
Yeah.
chaotic.
They
Very
used to do that at AGU. They had the afternoon beer line, but they there's I don't know, they stopped it. I guess there are minors that go, high schoolers and whatnot, and then it's probably a liability thing.
yeah.
But the poster session, having the posters up the whole time, we've always tried to emphasize that. Do people still like that, having the posters up the whole time? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's nice because when you need to take a break from the main talks or when there's, coffee break time, it's a good opportunity to walk through and see what's there and figure out who you need to talk to find out more about a specific topic. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's great.
But having it still a dedicated poster session time, I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in 2024, there were posters up, but no dedicated poster
Right.
session. And so I had a poster at that event, but I talked to maybe one person who
Same.
approached me like during a coffee break. But having a dedicated time to it allows you to be able to find the person who created that poster and have a little conversation and move on to the next thing.
Definitely agree. Nick, I
Yeah,
noticed
okay.
sorry. Nick, I noticed you had put your camera on a minute or two ago. Did you have a comment too?
Oh yeah, just since I'm mostly in like plasma and touch on fusion energy, I'm really jealous that heliophysics is having so much work being done for metadata standardization. I'm quite jealous. So also encouraged combination of
Comment
both.
on that, Nick. A lot of the momentum is coming from work on standards going on in earth science and astrophysics, and us waking up a little bit from my perspective. Hey, there's something useful there. So you could take the same perspective from plasma physics and pick a couple camps to camp out in. Say, hey, what's useful? Let's pull it in.
Cool, thanks.
We also have a few people standing up to say, hey, this is broken. When are you going to fix it? So, like, hell, we should work on that. That's definitely happening.
Speaking of metadata, during the IDEA workshop, there was a talk with the WMO office about collaborating with terrestrial weather and space weather to find overlaps for improving metadata. And I thought that was really interesting. I think we could do more of that with earth sciences to reduce duplication of effort.
This seems like the right place and expected for me to throw this in the chat. So, Earth Science has this meeting that happens twice a year. One of them is next week in virtual, so you can still register if you want that. But the other is in person and in the summer. This meeting is where the Earth Science data and metadata people go and talk about all of their standards and stuff like that. I'm also working to get other science in there. So there's going to be, if accepted, there's going to be an interdisciplinary session at ASIP this summer on AI for curation. Not particularly relevant to software people, but the metadata topics, if that's a thing that's interesting to you from the perspective of software, this is the meeting to try out. And virtual is a lot cheaper than attending in person, if that fits for you. Links in the chat.
Yes, Jack.
Yeah, I've got a comment about the ESIP. So twice a year is a really aggressive schedule, but their community is enormous compared to heliophysics. So
Yeah.
there's just many, many more people to draw from. So yeah, standards can go, well, they've been around for way longer, and there's way more parties interested in making sure that standards are followed around the world. So I think, maybe that will happen in the next few years for space weather, that as, there's more awareness of it, then more people come in and there's a greater weight behind the the desire we have to become more interoperable. So maybe that's something, we can focus on at the next Dash meeting, for example.
From the software perspective for Dash?
Sorry.
From
Oh,
the
sorry,
software
idea,
perspective?
idea, idea. Yeah, I kind of
Okay.
meant, sorry, I meant idea. So
Okay, sure.
Yeah, there really is a scale issue there, right? Like astronomy is bigger. Their equivalent of the DASH meeting is the ADAS meeting, and they have like 500 people that go. And the earth science, like Jack was saying, there's a lot more. And they already have things like working groups that meet routinely and to establish standards, or they have, you know, multiple sets of things like, what does it take to be fair? Here's your 3-page checklist. And, the the amount of so if every community has like, oh, maybe, you can spend 5% of your time on these other topics. Well, that's a huge amount of time for earth science because there's so many people. And so there's some people who, oh yeah, my project lets me work on this like 15%, 20% of the time just because it's helpful to the project to have these standards. So we just don't have projects with that kind of extra stuff that, oh, well, these 5 people can just form a committee out of their spare time, and the spare time is funded by the projects. So we just have to be more strategic about it, and it just takes longer. So I think that's part of it. You could disagree with that, Rebecca or Jack or others. Bobby.
no, I think strategic is what is a great description of where we need to be. So larger efforts require more time. but
Mhm.
I'm not going to say there's low-hanging fruit, but um, and like most of the people on this call are involved in at least a couple of different standards and software projects, right? So we're all kind of spread relatively thin for our ambitions, um, which is good that we have all those ambitions. But I think you're right, John, that like the making strategic choices is a best use of our resources.
Yeah. That's why idea is so important is you try to find out, well, what's going to help everybody? That's where we can try to find out, well, that if there's areas where it would make sense, even if we're not funded to work together, to still talk at points to stay lined up. That's what's key.
It's also where there's momentum going on in that topic. Like if there's at least one person, hopefully a few people willing to throw energy into it or already have, and it's going to help at least a decent group. That's something to tag along with.
Yeah, you have to have champions.
Well, are there any kind of final wrap-up thoughts from the crowd?
I guess I have a question. I'm just curious if there were any other talks for those of you that did attend that stood out that I didn't highlight that you would like to share, or maybe other Python packages that were missing from the list that would be worth mentioning. There's just so much to digest at Dash. So I did my best to try to capture the main things, but if there are any others?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but oh, John, you unmute.
Well, just as your interest increases, you could consider serving on the organizing committee, and then you get the front row seat. And we need people like yourself who are like, hey, this is really great. I like this, who are just interested in it. And there's no magic about, switching to the other side of the table. It's just this question of, okay, do I have time for that? Because it does take a little bit of focus.
Yeah, definitely. I do have interest. I just don't know who to talk to. So, but yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, talk to Julie, starters, or Rebecca, me, Sandy, Jack's done it. So just, yeah, get noisy.
Rebecca raised her hand, so to start with Rebecca, just to give you a single point of contact.
There you go.
She can
My
network.
email is my name, Rebecca.ringet, and I work at NASA's. Or you can bug Julie since you already work with her.
We're both on the organizing committee, so either works.
Yep.
All right, great. I'll reach out. Thank you.
Welcome to the crazy.
All right. Well, unless we have any other big thoughts pop up in the next 2-3 seconds.
Oh, now I remember. Sorry. At the end of the day on Friday, I posted a comment on the Slack channel. So if anyone's interested in reviewing some of the guidelines that I'm working on drafting, that would be great. If you're not on Slack, just contact Julie. That looking for feedback. So pop in there and take a look if you have some time.
And next time I'm giving the tutorial on pre-commit.
Yep, that's what I was gonna announce. So same
Okay.
date, same time frame. Yeah, but 2 weeks from now, Nick, you're giving a pre-commit tutorial.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you everyone for coming over. And hope you've had a good start to your 26th year or you're hanging in there.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Unfortunately, cannot stop the recording, but I can always cut it off before I upload it.
All good. I don't think I have anything else, so maybe we
Uh,
can call it here.
Yeah, I don't have anything either right now, other than my sickness is not totally gone yet, apparently.
Fun.
Cool. Well, see ya.
All right. Talk later. Bye.
Bye.